So today we'll be looking at logarithms. And so the logarithm of a number is essentially the power or index to which a given base must be raised to obtain a number. So for example, logarithms will look something like this. So logarithms will look something like this. We have log a to the b equals some number n. So this may look unfamiliar. And so if you want to make it look into a familiar form, we could change this into an exponential. So we could convert it into something like this. So the a here becomes our base. Our n here becomes the exponent, and that will equal something like b. So you could switch between log to exponents or exponents to logs, and that will be how we convert from logs to exponents. And so let's take an example of what example that we could choose to use this. Record. So let's take a look at an example that'll help us better show how we can go from exponents to logarithms. So for example, if we have something that says log 3 to the 9 equals 2, that can be written as something like a, which is our base here, 3 to the power of n, which is 2 in this case. And without even looking at the log side, what is 3 to the power of 2? That's essentially 3 times 3, which equals 9, which is exactly the number that we have over here. And so you could, if you don't have a calculator, you can go from the logs into a simple equation that you can use. And that's something that we've seen before to answer the question. And so that's how we can transform logs into exponents. Let's take a look at the 5 easy steps that we can use in logarithms to get our answer in a much simpler manner. So the first one is the product law. So the product law is essentially if we have a log of something, right? So if we have log b, like we had before, right? You don't even need to use numbers. As long as you know the trick of this formula, you can be able to input any numbers you want to find the answers. And so if you have something that's log b to the mn, right? M times n, that's equivalent to saying log b m plus log b n. For example, let's put in numbers. If we have a number that says log to the 5 and 3 times 4, what would that equal? Pause the video and take a look at what this could be. All right, so we have log, and the base will be the same for both of them, right? It's b, meaning it's going to be 5 to the 3 plus log 5 again to the 4. And this makes it much easier to either simplify and solve it or put in your calculator. Next law is ratio, which is the same as product but opposite. And so instead of multiplying something, we have log to the base b, but instead of mn, it's going to be m over n, and that equals, you guessed it, log b, like we had before. The base stayed the same, but instead of adding to the m and n, we subtract it by log b n. And one thing we have to be very specific about is the numerator, the number on top, should always go first, and that should be subtracted by the number on the bottom, which is n. right? To make sure that's in order. And other than that, this is essentially how you could simplify this log. The next rule that we can use is powers. So when we have an equation like log to the base b, and as I said before, b could be any number, and we have a number to the exponent, right? So if we have n to the exponent p, that's pretty complicated, right? So what can we do? We can easily simplify it. What we do is bring the exponent all the way to the front. What that's going to look like is p, right? P multiplied by log b, right? We always got to keep the base, multiply by n. And so all we do for this is there's a power and exponent. We bring that exponent all the way to the front, as we did here, and that would be the answer. And so once we solve this, all we got to do is multiply that by p, and that would be our final answer. Another quick tip is that if you have a question that's something like log 3 or log 5 to the 2, anything like that, without a number, you have to remember that there's always going to be a base, right? And while there might not be any number here, the normal number or the generic base is always going to be base 10. So if you don't see any number underneath the log, and it's going to be 10, right? And that's going to be 10. Another trick is anything to the log base, if it's to the 1, it's always going to be 0, right? So that's another trick that you can use. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe and let me know what topics you want to cover next time.